You are not dreaming. You are living in a world where Halloween, the video game, is 1 year away. That's right. It has been much requested, much sought after, much anticipated. We all knew it was only a matter of time. I've said here before that it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And, well, it was just about a year ago in August of 2024 when the win became now, and it was first announced, and it was announced that John Carpenter was going to be intimately involved. And again, some changes behind the scenes, and now here we are, Ilphonic, working with Gunn. And we do have a little bit of an update since our last report. We've got a couple updates since our previous report on the Halloween video game that I want to make sure you're aware of, because this is all pretty exciting. First of all, on Friday evening, which, by the way, you don't drop a news story late Friday evening unless you want that story to be on the top, literally the top of every news website, because it's the most recent one published on a Friday before most reporters clocked out for the weekend. Well, the Halloween folks behind the Halloween franchise know how to run a news cycle, because they dropped a bombshell Friday afternoon officially confirming that Nick Castle, the original Shape himself, is back to reprise his role as Michael Myers, once again performing motion capture for the new Halloween video game. And that's where we're going to start here tonight with this update, is with this amazing news that Nick Castle, who, of course, played the Shape, credited as the Shape in John Carpenter's original Halloween, brought back for Halloween 2018 for a cameo appearance behind the mask and performing the breathing. Another cameo in Kills, and again performing the breathing in both Kills and Ends. And now, why not? Why not? It makes perfect sense, all the sense in the world. If Nick Castle is walking this earth, then he should be doing Michael's walk in any incarnation. And so here he is. This photo shared by the official Halloween movies accounts on Friday evening, August 22nd, to be exact, 2025. Nick Castle once again playing Michael Myers in the motion capture suit, performing motion capture movements, iconic movements of Michael Myers. And this announcement came, partially in response. In all honesty, there was a lot of talk about who was going to do the motion capture. I mean, there's going to be a lot of these reveals coming, honestly, a lot to come as we learn more about this game over the next year. But there was a lot of rumors, I guess, and speculation circulating that another legendary movie performer who has played worn a mask or two in his day, the great Kane Hodder, was actually going to be doing the motion capture for Michael Myers. And part of this came from, I believe, comments made by Kane himself months ago at a Q&A or an interview that he had done some work for a major IP, and that it was going to blow everybody's mind when we found out who. And knowing that he's, of course, did Jason for the Friday the 13th game and Leatherface for the Texas Chainsaw game, a lot of people were assuming, well, clearly it's going to be this, maybe hoping it would be this. And then we get this announcement on Friday about Nick Castle, which is amazing news. And it is. It's stunning and amazing news and awesome. But then, interestingly, Kane Hodder's official account over the weekend also posted about the game and actually said that Kane is very honored to have worked on this. And that's the exact quote. in fact, um, worked on this. Very honored to have worked on this. And I say that because that could mean a couple different things. A lot of people have, again, assumed that it means one thing, and maybe it does. But the very interesting thing is that that social media post on Facebook is where I saw it. If you go to Kane Hodder's official account now, it has been removed. Um, I went there earlier today to prep for tonight, and it had been removed. So clearly, somebody from the game, somebody from Halloween, whatever, said, "Hey, can we not put that out there right now?" Um, Now, the obvious assumption would be that Nick Castle um, doing the head tilts, doing the walk, doing a lot of these movements. Kane Hodder doing a lot of the quote unquote heavy lifting, so to speak, kind of the more James Jude Courtney work that James would have done in the most recent um, films. The more stunt heavy work. And that very well could be the case. And they just want to announce that later on. Um, it's certainly plausible. But again, he didn't say that he played Michael Myers. We know that Kane Hodder, I mean, he said publicly in many, many years that he'd love to play Michael Myers in an official capacity. Having played Jason, Leatherface, and Freddy at the end of Jason Goes to Hell, it would be the ultimate for him to be able to wear that mask in official capacity. So we know he would love to. And I think a lot of fans would be into that. So it very well could be that thing. But then again, his exact quote, while it was up there, was "worked on this." So I mean, it could be that he worked on the stunts. He coordinated a lot of that stuff. Could be that he did motion capture for other characters. I even heard one wild theory that maybe he's doing the motion capture for Dr. Loomis, which made me kind of laugh. But then I was like, well, I mean, I guess stranger things have happened, I mean, and somebody's going to do it because that's a whole other conversation. Who will be our new Dr. Loomis in this game? And so this, opens up a whole other line of questioning and just thinking and really excitement, if you ask me, because we're going to have a lot of these announcements like this Nick Castle one. This is just the first of many. What do I think the whole scenario is? Yeah, I think it's probably, sometimes the most obvious answer is the answer. And I think that's probably it. I think, Kane has worked with them before. He's a stunt coordinator. He probably is doing a lot of the kills, a lot of the more crazy stuff that maybe Nick wasn't up for. Meanwhile, they've got Nick doing the stuff that he can and that he is known for and that he did in the original movie, like the walk, the head tilt, that type of stuff. And some of the kills, I would imagine, some of the different things. Obviously, the breathing. Now, what's the next reveal going to be? I mean, it could have been that Kane thing, but I think they want to reveal it in their own way, honestly. I think there's going to be a lot of cool reveals coming. I think Carpenter's involvement, I mean, if you watch that announced trailer, which if you haven't watched it, we're not going to play it here tonight because we don't want to get hit by a copyright violation or anything like that. But watch it if you haven't watched it. It's available at HalloweenDailyNews.com. It does show what appears to be like a Laurie-type character running around on Halloween night, running from the shape. I don't think it's supposed to be Laurie. I don't think it's Laurie. I think it's another Laurie-esque character at this point. But this raises all kind of questions. Is Jamie Lee Curtis going to come in and do any motion capture? Is she going to lend her likeness or voice to any of this, or not? And if not, are they going to look to somebody like Scout, who's done voiceover work and has worked on video games like these before? Christina Klebe was a character whose last name was Myers in the Friday the 13th game. So there's so many cool possibilities, and I think the idea of using a lot of franchise favorites, the Danielle Harrises out there, maybe even reaching out to, like I said, obviously Jamie Lee Curtis, but who knows? Shoot for the stars. Maybe a Paul Rudd or a Michelle Williams even, or even a Busta Rhymes or LL Cool J. Maybe it'd be a lot easier for them to get behind the microphone and do a little voiceover work as opposed to, committing to filming a whole new big project. Um, and maybe that's a way that we could finally get a lot of these characters and at least have some fun Easter egg moments with some of these legacy performers. Um, and a lot of you in the comments have already commented about wanting to play possibly as other characters. That's something I would be curious about too. I'm wanting to play in other time periods, in other films, other than just 78. So far, it definitely seems like everything is going to be very 1978 based and rooted. At least at launch in 2026 is what it seems to me. We're going to take a look now at some of these stills that have been released in recent days. There's been a lot of them, and they're all pretty stunning and pretty awesome, honestly. And so we're going to take a look at some of them right now. Some official imagery from the game. This is Michael here on one of the back roads. A lot of people were speculating, is it multiplayer only? Is it single player? Is there a story mode? The answer is yes to all of that. I mean, no, it's not multiplayer only. It is multiplayer, does have a multiplayer mode, it does have single player and story modes. So that has been addressed and confirmed. These images of Michael obviously look great. Just really cool. Here he is coming after somebody that looks almost like a Nurse Marion almost to me in the foreground here. And then just some familiar spots. There's no characters here, but this is the living room of the Myers house where Michael comes in. We never have seen it from this angle in the films. We've never seen it from this angle, but Judith and Steve are sitting on that couch before they run upstairs. So this is really cool seeing it like this, knowing that this is inside the Myers house and how it's going to be so immersive and so 360 and how we're going to be able to explore, presumably go in to all these iconic locations that we know and love and see them from all the angles that we know and recognize, but also see them from new angles that we've never seen them from like this. And this is a sign of that, and I think that's going to be amazing, needless to say. We're going to go to new locations, obviously, that we've never been to, new residences, new locations that maybe have been mentioned, but we haven't seen. And again, all of this existing within 1978. They can really, I mean, don't get me wrong. I do think down the road they should and could and hopefully will explore other films. But I think for now it's going to be kind of that Halloween Kills idea of showing the flashback to 78 and giving us moments that you don't get in the movie. Or at least different angles of the moments that we did get in the movie. And I think we're going to get a lot of that in this game, which for us, that or at least me, I know that I love the mythology and the lore and then the whole, what's canon. Of course, this is the Choose Your Own Adventure franchise of all Choose Your Own Adventure franchises, if ever there was one anyway. So this is just another adventure that you can choose, and I think that's pretty awesome. Now, these models of Loomis and Michael that you're going to look at here, this Loomis model for the game is stunning. I don't know if they used Tom Jones Jr. For the motion cap for him. I would guess that maybe they did, because he did so great in Kills and looked so good in Kills. But as good as Christopher Nelson's amazing makeup job was to him in Kills, this looks eerily even better, dare I say. I mean, this is insane. This is insane. Loomis lives is all I can say. Loomis lives. I mean, This is this is insane. Look at that. Look at those eyes. And then, of course, the shape. Michael, his model for in game. I mean, the mask looks great. Um, I think I saw a comment online that the eyes look too big. In this particular image with this lighting, I would agree they do kind of look a little bit bigger and really kind of make him look almost a little bit sadder than normal. You know what I mean? Like the eyes are kind of in a sadder slant than we typically see. Again, it's all in the lighting and the angles. Um, so I would agree a little bit that they look a little bit off in this photo. But again, I you know, it's all in how you like the mask. And the mask itself, from what I can see here, looks great. I love the hair. I think they really nailed that part, which is so hard to get right in real life, in actual, styling. Um, yeah, he looks great. And again, even when you zoom in, you know, it's the blackest eyes, but I love that you get just that little glint of his actual eye in there, as it should be. All right. Here's a few other official images that have been unleashed from the game. Michael encountering a Haddonfield sheriff's officer here. This is a really cool one. This is an official wallpaper that they released over on HalloweenPortal.com, which they've set up a forum there, and they're really, and by they I mean Compass International and the Halloween movies, Halloween Portal, powers that be that are in control of this franchise. They are really making an effort and stating out loud just in the last few days since this announcement that they are listening to fans and they want this game to be what fans want it to be, and so they're encouraging you guys and to not be shy about letting your feelings and your hopes and your fears for this project be heard. So that's all happening at the Halloween portal, and that's where they've set up a downloads page for stuff like this, which is a high res wallpaper. I think they called it Behind You. This is the shape stalking someone in a kitchen. Again, I mean, it's kind of that Laurie Strode-esque character that we saw uh, in the announcement trailer. Don't know what character it is. I don't think it is actually Laurie Strode. But I love seeing the knife just kind of gleaming there. And I love all the stuff with the shape in the shadows. So many of these shots where he is framed as Carpenter framed him in the shadows. I think that's awesome. And that all could be, Nick, standing, walking, doing all that. And this is just a great image of the shape, facing off with some of Haddonfield's finest here. Fearless. And there's Nick Castle on set. And then that's going to bring us right up to today. This is the most recent image shared just a few hours ago, just earlier today on Michael Myers Monday. Very fitting. New shot of the shape. And I love the jack-o'-lanterns. You guys know me. I'm always looking for that Halloween atmosphere, but can't have too much of it. Although sometimes some certain projects do have too little of it, honestly. And but this appears to that they've got it right. And yeah, Michael looks great right there. He looks really good. So from everything we're seeing, everything we're hearing, I mean, the most common comment we got on our social media accounts when we were sharing our story about this uh, announcement was that many of you were worried in in fear that Gunn, I guess in particular, was going to the game would be abandoned. It was a term we heard a lot because people are not happy with the way Friday the 13th the game ended, and more recently the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. Um, well, we have a very, what I would say, a very encouraging response to that from no less than Ryan Freeman of Compass International, of course, who is more or less Malik Akkad's right hand man in all of this stuff, and he has been very vocal and outspoken at times on social media, and just very forthcoming, I think, and I appreciate it. He's shared a lot of these images that we looked at tonight. He's the one that put them up for the first time in a lot of cases, and he's been sharing a lot on his own accounts, and he's also been commenting and responding to a lot of fan comments, and including one expressing uh, this fear, and and the comment that he was responding to in specific said, "Looks awesome." This was from Instagram. "Looks awesome. I just hope Gunn doesn't gut the game after 2 years like how they did with the TCM game." And Ryan Freeman, to his credit, responded directly to that comment. And this is what he said. He says, quote, "Gunn is not the main developer of the game. Ilphonic is. They have supported long-term development on games like Predator and Killer Clowns. Game will be far more robust than F-13 and TCM. This was a threshold matter for us. A threshold matter for us." And there was another comment also on Instagram where he responded again, reiterating that it is Gunn is not the main developer. It is Ilphonic. It is their game, but Gunn is very much a financial partner and supporter. And it was also stated on there and made clear that this game, the plan, another threshold matter, as he put it, in that post and in another post, he said another threshold matter for them was that the future, that this would be a long-term plan and not a game that's going to close up shop after a couple of years, like Texas Chainsaw did. So that, to me, puts a lot of those fears at ease. And again, I wasn't somebody playing those games loyally myself, so I didn't feel the burn when that happened. But for those of you that did, give me your thoughts on those comments. Hopefully that um, uh, you know is encouraging to you. It's encouraging to me to hear that, and especially the long-term future aspect, and that was so important to them, and such a threshold matter in his words. I think that's very important because if it's, they're going to go for years from now, then that means lots of updates, and that does mean lots of opportunity to go into the different sequel areas, even the sequel masks. At least, even if it's all 78, you could find interesting ways to work in different looks. You know what I mean? Maybe the H4 mask is still available in 78 or something, or the Silver Shamrock masks become some kind of DLC or something like that. So, um, and again, we're going to find out so much cool stuff over the next year, like that Nick Castle announcement, like whatever Kane Hodder's involvement and work he did do on this is. It is going to be official at some point, whatever it is. But one really cool bit of behind-the-scenes news that has come out in the last few days that I was very excited about because, again, I mean, you're making the official Halloween game. So actors, performers are going to do the voices, are going to do the motion capture. I imagine a lot of these are going to be names that we know and recognize, and in many cases, hopefully love. I would hope they're going to have Carpenter do some new music and certainly license the classic music. I mean, I think that's all a no-brainer. And I mean, in that trailer, it says Malika Todd presents John Carpenter, executive producer. It said from the initial announcement over a year ago that Carpenter would be intimately involved in the development of the game. And him being such a gamer anyway, I think it's a no-brainer. He's going to be intimately involved with this game. I hope so. Certainly on the music side, I hope so in every way. You know, maybe he's even a voice on the radio at some point or something. Who knows? Maybe he's a character in the game at some point. Possibilities are endless. But I do think that I don't know that John Carpenter wants to direct another film at this point, but I do think he's having a blast making music, playing music, and is going to have a blast working on this game, and is probably having a blast helping, even just advise on it and give his input. I would imagine it's right up his alley of where he's at right now. So one more behind the scenes bit of news on the game, which I found very cool, is who's writing the game. And I was stunned to learn, pleasantly stunned to learn, that Mr. Adam F. Goldberg is one of the writers, if not the lead writer, on Halloween, the game. That's right, Adam F. Goldberg. If you've watched the show The Goldbergs, that Adam F. Goldberg. And I love that show, which referenced Michael Myers and even Silver Shamrock many times. Had Robert Englund actually reprised the role of Freddy Krueger in a Halloween episode. Always did monumental Halloween episodes. He's a writing genius, if you ask me. And I don't say that lightly. Well, just a few days ago, on August 20th, as the trailer and the announcement was getting shared everywhere, Adam F. Goldberg over on X posted saying, "Behold the trailer for Halloween. I've been writing this madness in secret with Hans Rodenoff, Elise Williams, and James Williams for the last year. If you loved F-13 Jason game by Ilphonic as much as I did, then you will lose your mind at what we're doing with Michael Myers. You will lose your mind with what we're doing with Michael Myers." Let's let that sink in for just a second, coming from one of the writers, presumably the head writer of this project. I think all of that adds up to everything that I want to hear about this game at this point. And again, it's only been a few days. It's been like 5 days. And we've gotten all that artwork, all that imagery, those comments from Ryan Freeman, which I think are so encouraging. The comments from Malika Todd, of course. Bloody Disgusting has a whole interview with the lead developer over at Ilphonic. I'm not going to go into that tonight. We'll save that for another discussion, but there's lots more about the different modes the sandbox are going to create. It sounds amazing. You know, we've seen images. They've released shots of the inside of Rabbit and Red and the outside of Smith's Grove Sanitarium. These are going to be places that we're going to be able to go and explore and see characters that, existed and were around and are conceivably canon, at least game canon. It was just moments and places that we weren't seeing, pockets of time in 78 that we weren't seeing. So, all very exciting. Of course, I'm here for it. I don't have a game system for it right now. We got a PS4. I don't have a PS5 or an Xbox or anything, so I don't know. I'm going to have to figure that out. But one of you said hopefully it's going to be downloadable. I imagine they probably will have a downloadable version as well. But it is going to be an exciting year of announcements for this game for sure to follow along. Like I said, even just the amount of behind the scenes talent, voice talent, motion capture talent, people that I can really see being involved in really cool ways that have done stuff like this before, like Christina Cleave and Scout Taylor Compton, obviously Kane Hodder, and all kinds of other cool, talented people. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. I look forward to seeing and hearing more. I look forward to seeing and hearing your comments as we go along. And some of you, many of you, are much more well versed in the gaming world than I am. That is not exactly my backyard in the way that horror movies and TV series and even the comic landscape to an extent are much more in my wheelhouse, in my backyard. Even music, all that type of stuff. Gaming, not so much. I love the games that I've played that Michael has guested on. I love the 16-bit Retro Realms Halloween game that came out last year. I thought that was a lot of fun, kind of Super Mario Brothers style Michael Myers, that's my style of gaming right there. My son Uzziah, on the other hand, yeah, he's a major gamer, and he's going to kill it at this. And I do remember, what little bit I played of the Friday the 13th game. I loved that, and I loved even just from afar seeing the excitement, the community, the masks. When they did the Savini mask in the game and everything, and working all that stuff in there, I thought that was really cool. Everything they were doing over there. So yes, high hopes for me, and I think for a lot of you guys too, that this game is going to be able to incorporate some of that stuff, and I think they will. I think they'll find really cool ways to, even if licenses don't allow them to do certain things directly. I think there's a lot of cool ways to do things indirectly. Even if you don't have Danielle Harris in there playing Jamie Lloyd necessarily, you could have Danielle Harris in there playing a Jamie Lloyd type character that we'd all get, and maybe her name is even Jamie. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just using that as an example. I don't know why they wouldn't have a license to that particular character. I think they probably would of all of them, but just using that as an example. But I would hope they are reaching for the stars as far as like alumni talent. Like I said, Josh Hartnett and Michelle Williams, and just go big. I would go big on it. Um, so now I want to hear from you guys about everything we've talked about with Halloween, the video game. It's about a year away. I imagine it's going to take every bit of that year for them to, get this thing up and going. But then again, it seems like they've been working for a while with everything they're already releasing about it, and the fact that they were able to accomplish what they've already been able to accomplish so far in secret, I think is great. And I love how open everybody seems to be right now at this moment and moving forward. So I think there's going to be more of that. And those comments again from Ryan Freeman, I think are so encouraging about the future. So it makes me excited because, again, if I'm going to play this game and get into it, then I'm going to have to buy a whole new gaming system, most likely, just for that purpose. So yeah, that's going to be a bit of investment if I do that. So it's going to have to be known that it's going to be around for a while and be in it for the future. So, all right, give me your thoughts on all of that.